What's going on, guys? It's Barry here with the Scryguys, and today we're going to be doing a ranking, or at least my personal ranking, for the top 10 Planeswalkers for EDH. Let's go ahead and get started. First up is Elspeth, Sun's Champion, 4 and 2 white, legendary Planeswalker Elspeth. +1, create 3/1/1 white soldier creature tokens. -3, destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. -7, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2 and have flying. Now, this is, I would probably put this on my 10th spot, but I'm actually really surprised that I still have this on my top 10, just because it did come out in original Theros. It is 6 mana, but with the amount of double tokens and triple tokens there are now, she just kept getting better and better. And plus, having a board wipe on a stick is always pretty great. One of the best things about this, though, is that it does create blockers for itself to protect itself, because one of the hardest things to do in Commander is to keep a Planeswalker around, unless you're playing a very Planeswalker centric kind of deck. Then it's board wipe central. But for this one, it isn't. I mean, it has a board wipe on its own, but the fact that it can create blockers for itself is probably the most important thing. And if you ever get to the -7, emblems have always been kind of ridiculous if you've been able to pull them off in any kind of format, but especially for Commander, having a indestructible, untargetable, just something that just is outside of the game and you're not able to really interact with that thing, it's just super powerful. And giving your creatures +2/+2 and flying is probably one of the greatest buffs that you can kind of give all your creatures, right? But yeah, just the fact that we have so many double token, triple token things now, this has just gotten better and better. What's next up? Oh, Ashiok Dream Render 1 and Hybrid Dimir, legendary Planeswalker Ashiok. This came out during War of the Spark, I believe, and this is when the whole static ability for Planeswalkers kind of became a thing, because Ashiok says spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library. It's a soft stacks piece. This is, it's pretty powerful, especially when you get it out a turn earlier, maybe turn 2 or turn 3, when people are still fetching, people are still trying to ramp, and people are still trying to tutor. I mean, you're gonna try to tutor the rest of the game as well, but this kind of just slows their game plan down a bit, because it's not a linear effect, it is just an effect for your opponents. So it also has -1, target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard. Again, another thing, a lot of people hate graveyard hate, and this is that. It's giving you a lot of ways, because some people use their graveyard as a second hand, being able to reanimate, animate dead, dance of the dead, being able to eternal witness extra turns, or any kind of spell, counter spells, psych rift and all that stuff. This kind of shuts that down, so it's great, because this kind of scales with the game. It doesn't matter at what point of the game you're playing Ashiok in, because it's gonna impact it has the impact in a big way. And honestly, I'm still surprised. I mean, it's still a pretty cheap card, so but I'm honestly more surprised that I still don't see it on tables as much as I thought I would, just because it's a pretty powerful piece. I mean, and it also has 5 loyalty, and it's 3 mana, so definitely one of my favorite Planeswalkers to play if I'm able to slam it in the deck, just because it hurts my opponents so much more. But this one is probably one that a lot of people have seen and a lot of people have hated. Narset, Parter of Veils, 1 blue legendary Planeswalker Narset. Static ability: each opponent can draw more than 1 card each turn, and has a -2. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You're kind of not playing this for the -2 as much as you think you would, unless you're really starving on some cards. You're really playing this to possibly wheel or just stop somebody from drawing so many cards. Like if there's a Ristic Study, cool, your taxes don't really matter anymore. If there's a Mystic Remora, please keep playing the cumulative upkeep so you can draw one-ish cards a turn. But mainly you're gonna probably see this play this, and then someone play a sort of wheel effect, whether it be Dark Deal, Wheel of Misfortune, and the expensive ones. Dark Deal, Windfall, Wheel of Misfortune, Dark Deal. All right, yeah, and then obviously the more expensive ones like Wheel of Fortune and Time Twister. So definitely you're going to be able to get cards out of your opponent's hands, and you're kind of just have full control of the game at that point. So definitely one that probably I think I've seen a lot in CDH, at least in Play to Win. Maybe I've seen them play this. I'm not too sure, but super powerful at 3 mana. Next up, we got Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh. This one is more of a splash pet card for me, but it's a Foreign Grixis legendary Planeswalker. Bolas +2. Target opponent exiles the cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. +1. Each opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. -4. Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh deals 7 damage to target opponent, creature an opponent controls, or a Planeswalker an opponent controls. And then -12. Exile each non-land permanent your opponent's control. This I kind of always try to fit into a deck, even though it's 7 mana. But the +2 and the +1 are pretty strong. +1 I probably use a lot more often whenever I do get to play him, just to get people's hands down a little bit. Shorten the amount of answers they could possibly have. And the +2, if there is a player playing a juicy deck, maybe it's a extra turns deck or something like that, all I could do is try to hope to hit one of those things and get one of those extra turns so I could do it to him again. You know what I'm saying? But it's a 7 mana Planeswalker with 7 loyalty, and it's just one of the biggest baddies or if not the biggest baddie in Magic the Gathering. And I had to choose these arts because they're kind of adorable. Next up, we got Teferi, Master of Time, 2 and 2 blue. Static ability, you may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time on any player's turn anytime you can cast an instant. +1, draw a card, then discard a card. -3, target creature you don't control phases out. And then -10, take 2 extra turns after this one. Now, it's not overly powerful, right? But the fact that you can kind of get this to the ultimate fairly quickly is what made my list, right? Because you can activate loyalty abilities anytime you could do an instant. So you go to your turn, you +1, draw a card, discard a card. So now you're at 4 loyalty, and then when it goes to your other opponents, 5, 6, 7, go back to yours is 8. If you could just protect this thing or proliferate it somehow, you're gonna take 2 extra turns. It's so powerful. Especially if you're able to get this early game or right after a board wipe, it's more than likely going to at least put everybody on high alert, talking about, we have to kill the Teferi, we can't let them take 2 extra turns, that's just too much gas. If anything, it also just eats up a removal, because especially the closer you get to that -10, the more people are gonna be on high alert. So mainly it's on here because you can possibly ultimate it by your next turn if you're able to proliferate a couple times somehow, if you're having that, or you're just at least going to get with the +1, you're going to be able to draw and discard, kind of like loot through your deck. And then -3, maybe somebody got their commander out fairly fast, so on your turn, +1, draw a card, and then on their turn, but maybe they have an attack trigger or something like that, you can go ahead and phase it out. So that's why it's on here. It's pretty multifaceted, I think, just because you can kind of go with a different couple routes with it, and the survivability for it is fairly high. Next, we got Nissa Vital Forest. Now, again, I want to remind you, this is my personal top 10 Planeswalkers for Commander. 3 and 2 green, legendary Planeswalker Nissa. +1 untapped target land you control until your next turn. It becomes a 5/5 elemental creature with haste. It's still land. -3 return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And then -6 you get an emblem with whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card, and it starts off with 5 loyalty. Really, this is here just because you can get that emblem off so fast. When you play her on turn, whatever turn you can get it on, go ahead and plus her, untap a land. Maybe you want to untap the Guy's Cradle or Nykthos to maybe kind of abuse that. Even if it gets removed, you at least get the tap and then play more spells on top of that. But really, you want this to survive until next turn, so because it's one of the easiest emblems to probably get in Commander. I mean, except for like Tybalt, which I believe it comes down with an emblem, but this one, it's fairly easy to get that emblem off. If you can have it just survive one turn, the moment you get that thing to survive, you go ahead and ult it, and then you get a, again, indestructible, untargetable, unremovable emblem that says whenever a land enters the battlefield, you get to go ahead and draw a card. So you can go and fetch. You're drawing 2 cards. Lands is the most abundant thing that you probably have in your deck. I'm looking at a couple of you that don't play enough lands and always get mana screwed. But yeah, you're basically, all your lands now are better, just infinitely better. And I kind of don't see this enough. Maybe it's because like the more higher power you go, the more this thing doesn't really survive. But this is such a powerhouse for just casual Commander as well. Just even with the -3, getting to return a target permanent from your graveyard to your hand is really good, just because maybe you get Eternal Witness and then you could recast Finale of Devastation or something like that. So yeah, a lot of ways that you could work this. Me personally, I'm always trying to get to that -6 so I can go ahead and fetch and draw 2 cards and all that stuff. Oh man, I don't know if we're on the last one. Nope, we have Karn the Great Creator, 4 mana with static ability. Activated abilities of your artifacts your opponents control can't be activated. That's what it's mainly here for. I believe mana ramp or artifact ramp is just, it's so out of control. All right, Dockside Extortionist out here running rampant. Smothering Tides running rampant, right? But it does have a +1 ability. Until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. And then -2, you may choose an artifact you own from outside the game or in exile. Reveal that card and then put it into your hand. So maybe somebody exiles the One Ring. You can at least go ahead and get that back. But this is mainly here for that static ability. Like I said, treasures. Now we have map tokens, blood token. We have so many type of different artifacts, food, clues. This is going to be shutting down mana ramp, obviously, soul rings and mana crypts, mox diamonds and all that stuff. Lion's Eye Diamond, just in case you're playing against a higher, like a CEDH guy. Definitely, it just stops a lot. It's a collector oof on a Planeswalker, pretty much. And the best thing about this is that only affects your opponents and not you. So definitely, I think it's gone up a little bit in price ever since. But yeah, definitely worth a pickup if you notice your table is running rampant with artifacts. And oh, the bane of Standard when it first came out. Oko Thief of Crowns is 1 in Simic, +2 creative food token, +1 target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a elk creature with base power 3/3, and then -5 exchange control of target artifact or creature you control, and target creature and opponent controls a power 3 or less. First of all, I don't know what they were thinking about when this came out in Standard, but also it's pretty powerful in Commander to be able to kill a commander without killing it. And what I mean by that is that when you kill a commander with a kill spell, like Anguish Unmaking or something like that, it just goes back into the command zone. But having it being able to stay on the field is always super detrimental to people. You know, whether it be Song of the Dryads, Imprison in the Moon, God, the Indestructible Bug enchantment. It can kind of ruin a player's experience, or just their whole game plan is just thrown out the window. Just throw it out. Um, frankly, I never really play this card. It's always kind of like a feel bad as well, just because it feels like you're targeting somebody, which sometimes, yeah, that has to be the case. You're targeting somebody that's been popping off way too long. Maybe there's a Kinnan on the board. Screw that guy, first of all. But no, yeah, definitely. If this said like, target, what's it called? One of each opponent or something, that would have been crazy. But you know, but definitely it deserves to be on this list. It's so strong, and it's a three mana planeswalker with 4 loyalty. That's already nuts. It has to be nuts to be banned in multiple formats, first of all. That's all I gotta say. And I think my favorite card for Commander, and probably like one of my favorite, like probably my favorite at this point, Liliana Dreadhorde General, 4 and 2 black, static ability. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Already nuts. In mono black, come on. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature. So it creates card draw, pretty much. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. So yeah, and then -9, which is fairly easy to get to with this thing. No, okay, it's not too easy. Everyone's on high alert. But -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. It's so nasty. It's a balance for everybody but you. But definitely, it's just this planeswalker is just so easily abusable, especially if you have a grave crawler situation happening where you're just able to constantly sack it to Phyrexian Altar, or maybe a Ashnod's Altar, and then maybe you have a Pitiless Plunderer out into the field, and you're able to just go ahead, sack it, cast it, sack it, and then draw a card. It's just too powerful. You don't even have to use her loyalty abilities. If your game plan, if you're in a mono black or any kind of deck with black in it, and you have a self-sacrifice theme going on, it's just gonna kill the table. It's just so much value, especially if you have things that are gonna trigger off your creatures dying, and you're going through this whole cycle of being able to Gravecrawler, sack, and cast. It's just so powerful. She's like the second biggest menace next to Nicol Bolas, to be honest. Oh man, but yeah, tell me what your guys' top 10 planeswalkers in Commander are. These ones are definitely mine. Tell me what you think about my list. Maybe my list is poop. You never know. But thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be bringing you guys more content as soon as possible. Hopefully gameplay content as soon as possible. And yeah, have a good day, guys.